What's up guys, welcome back to another TR7 tutorial. Today we're going to be going back to basics again on the mini ramp. We're going to be working on pumping. The easiest way to explain what pumping is just when you learn how to go forwards and backwards on a ramp like this and maintain your speed. So if you get really good at it, you can go higher and higher, but it's a really good thing to learn because it's going to help you get really confident with transition skating. And it should look something like this. A mini ramp is probably the easiest place to learn this, but it is going to come in handy for all different types of transitions. So it's a really important thing to learn if ramp skating is the thing you want to get good at. So the first thing you should do to start with, just to get a really good feel for it, if you're brand new to ramp skating, start off nice and slow, set yourself up straight towards the ramp, give it a push, stand on the board, go up and straight back down, just to get a bit of a feeling for that. And the next step after that is do the same thing with a bit more speed so that you do the first ramp, but then have enough speed to come all the way back and do the other side as well, like this. So that's the first step, just getting a bit of a feel for riding the ramp going forwards and backwards with a good balance and a good amount of speed. So the foot positioning is really important in this one. You're going to want to make sure that your both feet are on the bolts or a little bit further apart than the bolts, but you don't ever want to have your feet close together, and you want to try and keep your back foot away from the tail if you can help it, because you want the board to feel the same going forwards as it does on the way back. And when your feet are spread out, that's going to help you keep your weight straight in the middle instead of more on your back foot than your front. So this position is where you want to be for this one. Both feet pointing straight forward and on those bolts. And what you want to start thinking about is if you're going faster, that means you're going to go higher on the ramp. And the higher the ramp you go, the more you've got to lean with it, because you don't want to be coming all the way up here and leaning forward because you're going to slip off straight away. You want to stay directly above your board because that's going to be the easiest way to balance. So when you put all that together, it should look something like this. Really spoken about so far is the positioning on the board with your feet and the positioning over the board with your body. Now comes the slightly more tricky bit, but the more important bit, which is the knees. So to be able to maintain your speed and keep going, the key to it is all about doing squats. So the knees are going to help with two really important things. The first one is the speed and the second one is the balance. So the key to this is you want to be as light as possible on the way up the ramp and as heavy as possible on the way down. So that means as you're coming into the ramp, you want to think about slowly standing up nice and tall, and then when you're at the peak, about to come back down, you want to bend down low and try and be nice and heavy so you get enough speed that you make it all the way back over to the other side. The main thing you want to be thinking about with this is that knee action. It is still going to be quite tricky to get the timing right at first, but a good way to ease into it is try and go one wall further each time. So if you've made it to number 2, see if you can make it to number 3, and once you've done that, go for number 4 and keep going. See if you can set yourself a record by going for as long as possible. Normally when you make it to 8 or 9 pumps, that means that you've got the hang of it and you'll be able to just keep going for as long as you want. But it does take a little while to get to that point, so be patient with it. Another thing worth thinking about is the faster you start at the beginning, the easier it's going to be to carry on going, because you're going to go high on the first one and that's going to give you a good enough speed that you'll be able to make it to the second one very easily. If you start slowly like this, no matter how hard you pump, you're not going to get much speed because you've not got enough of the transition. Whereas if you start a bit quicker like this, you won't even have to put in as much effort because you've already started with a good amount of speed. In terms of your upper body, there's a few things you want to think about. The shoulders and arms, because you're not turning, you want them both completely by your side, and also you're going to be going forwards and backwards, so you want your body to be pretty symmetrical so that it never really feels like you're riding backwards and looking over your shoulder. And then with your head and your eyes, you want to look where you're going. So on the way forward, you're going to stare at this ramp, and on the way back, you're going to turn your head and look back the other way. So you're always seeing where you're going and planning ahead before you get there. Instead of doing it like this, where you're going backwards and you've got to just guess when you're going to go up it. So that's pumping so far, that's where you want to start with it. If you want to get a bit more speed out of it, there's a little technique you can do that should make a big difference. And that is, when you're coming down the ramp, you already know that you want to go down low, but just as you're getting to the flat bit, you want to think about standing back up, because that's going to give you a bit more power out of your pump and a bit more speed. From that, you should be able to see the difference between adding that bit of extra knee movement, because that's going to be a big difference. It will give you more speed and it will make the whole thing a lot easier. But again, pumping is still quite tricky, especially if you've never done it. So be patient with it and keep practicing, because once you get the hang of it, you'll never forget how to do it and it will start to feel really natural. So I hope this video helps you guys learn the pumping. Go out and try it. Let us know in the comments below if you get the hang of it. And remember to always click subscribe and hit the little bell so that you don't miss our future videos. Thanks for watching. See you next week.